And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bottom Shelf Nerds channel. I'm Thomas, aka Mr. Warburg. Welcome back to the MCU in review. We're on phase 2 here of our 4, maybe 5-part series where we review the Marvel Cinematic Universe in all its glory, chunking it up in phase 1, 2, 3, and Endgame, and possibly an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. sidebar with myself and our phase 1 guest, Mr. Fusion, who is unable to be here this week. But we do still have 3 panelists today. So, first and foremost, the stalwart companion himself, one Joey Lee.
What up, crew?
And rounding out the trio is a returning guest from part 1. That'd be Chris.
I am Groot.
I'm Groot.
I'm Groot.
I am Groot. All right, that's a new pod. This is only really.
Yeah, we just say I am Groot, and then we try to piece together what we all meant when we were saying it.
If you're Thor, you know exactly what we're saying. If you're not, you're screwed.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, we're on to phase 2. We went through phase 1, and we ranked those movies individually, which I have the image up here on the screen. So our current ranking, because I believe when this is all said and done, because we're filming this 2 weeks before, I think maybe 3 weeks before Captain Marvel comes out. There's going to be 22 movies by the time we're done. So we did the first 6, phase 1, and this was the ranking from, we'll go bottom up. 6 was Iron Man 2, 5 is The Incredible Hulk, 4 Thor, 3 Captain America: The First Avenger, 2 Iron Man, and number 1 The Avengers, which was a unanimous selection, of course, because it's freaking awesome. So that's gone now. Just making myself a note on when I did that. So yeah,
I still want to dispute the Hulk beats the Iron Man 2.
They're so
killing me,
close.
guys.
They're so close.
I know, but it's
as we all know, as we keep going, they're going to be staying at the bottom of the list. So we'll see.
My heart's broken.
Hey, it's set in stone. This was a collaborative ranking, the process of which you will see later on in the video when we rank phase 2.
Fuck. Okay.
Well, I'd rather not, Joey. So please keep that to yourself, okay? Don't
make
me call HR.
Oh God.
Put the lotion in the basket.
All right. So let's jump right into phase 2, shall we? All right. So what we do here is we go through each individual movie. We'll give when it came out, how much it made, the budget it had, and we'll give a little brief rundown of our thoughts, maybe some moments we really enjoyed, some stuff that maybe didn't land so well, and kind of our overall, kind of like a TLDR of a review instead of a big review for everything. Because to be honest, if you're watching this, you either A, you know us and you probably watched all the movies too because we're friends and a lot of our friends are into the same stuff, or B, you're just in it for the Cliff Notes. So let's get right to it. The first movie that came out after The Avengers was Iron Man 3, kicked off phase 2. It came out literally a year later, actually. That was May 2nd, wait, no, that's wrong. The fuck was I doing? That's on my Google Docs. I gotta check this now. Did I just mistype the year? Or did I screw up the whole day?
States, it was on May 3rd, I think.
Yeah, okay, so I had the wrong year. I put 2014 when it's supposed to be 13. So it was May, May 2nd or 3rd or around that time because Thursday releases and whatnot. 2013. And that's the U.S. release, at least. The gross was $1.2 billion. What was that, Joey?
I may have dropped.
Okay. I'll have to remember to mute that. Or maybe not, because I talked about it. Iron Man 3 made $1.2 billion. The budget is $200 million. Man, we're off to a great start.
Professionalism.
Yeah, hey, this is the bottom shelf. You don't come here for professionalism.
Hey, at least he dropped it from the bottom shelf.
Our name is extremely apt. All right, so Iron Man 3, guys. I won't monopolize the time here since I've done a lot of the intro talking. What did you guys think of the first movie in phase 2, Iron Man 3?
I actually liked it. I love the paranoid Tony aspect of it, which I thought was pretty cool. And we got to see Pepper go into a suit, which I thought was pretty awesome. Only problem with it is the end.
Which specifically what?
Problem?
Specifically,
the destroying of the suits. I'm sorry.
Destroying of the suits is your issue.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
That's my issue with it.
Chris, you seem to have an issue with Joey's
Oh.
take on that. So I definitely want to dive into what you think.
Whoa, mate.
It's an Iron Man movie without Iron Man. I mean,
Except Iron Man is Tony Stark, and Tony Stark is foremost in the movie for 2 hours.
yeah, but I don't know. It's not interesting to me. Nothing was. It was so boring. Like I don't know. Like I don't know why you needed to give Pepper Potts the hero moment at the end. Like that just to me came out of left field. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy Guy Pearce's character. Now I did not read any of the comics, so I won't say that I liked how they did the Mandarin, but I will say that I loved Ben Kingsley's performance on both sides of the Mandarin.
Agreed.
Where he's the
Yes.
the
Trevor?
crazy terrorist, and then Trevor.
Yeah.
I love Trevor. I don't know. He's just amazing. He's like when they're like, I had a little bit of an addiction problem. He's like, oh, you think did they say they would get you off the drugs? No, they'd give me more. Like that's a
So
great
good.
character right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the rest of it is just so. I don't know. It just didn't feel right.
Okay. I can understand that. So
I think the point they were trying to prove was Iron Man is Iron Man without the suit, though, because like, didn't they kind of hint at that a couple times in the Avengers? Like,
well,
Thor
yeah.
did?
Well, that, and plus it's like, it's also
What are you
a
without the
look
suit?
at what does that being Iron Man, what does that do to Tony? You know?
Yeah.
No, I get that.
Yeah. So that's one of the, I think that was the best parts of the movie for me was like the fact that they didn't shy away from the dude would be really fucked up. Like he just basically tried to kill himself to save the world, and then he didn't die. So that'd be pretty messed up. Plus he's also like flown around the world and been shot at who knows how many fucking times, and like is dealing with the fact that he's not enough after all this stuff he's done, still not enough. And then his best friend gets basically blown to shreds. Well, maybe not his best friend, but happy at least,
Right.
He's in that, familial relationship kind of thing. And so he gets nearly killed. And I did like that, but man, I also really hated the fact that Pepper's just like, hey, my boyfriend's really basically has PTSD, fuck it, I'm out. Like,
Yeah, that was a weird moment,
Yeah.
too. Like, I'm sleeping on the couch, deal with it. I'm like, whoa.
and I know part of this is the fact that it's an issue where it's different creators making different movies and telling different stories. But man, she's all over the place in being there for Tony, a guy who's basically, I mean, like, not like perfect guy. He's an
Yeah.
asshole, but
Definitely.
like, he's clearly not okay. And instead of trying to help, just run. Like,
Yeah.
I would rather, have it be written different, because other movies, that's not the case. But in some movies, it is. But, and that's, again, an issue with it not being one storyteller for the entire thing.
Well, when she runs out, not like the bedroom scene, but like throws all her stuff out at him. I think that was a proper exit for her because Tony just gave his address away to the world.
Well, yeah,
And-
that was a, hey, we're leaving and not staying
Yeah.
in this house.
Yeah.
I'm talking the earlier one where, like, the suit gets called to him in his sleep, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, I don't want to get into too other weeds on that because it's a fairly minor point.
Yeah.
Like I said, forgettable villains. Just going through my notes here.
Yeah.
The Mandarin was, as a character, how they did that twist, I really dug it because
I did too.
I knew who the Mandarin was. He's basically Iron Man's ultimate villain. Also incredibly racist in the comics. Like, yellow face, yellow scare kind of
Right.
era when he was created. So very much a racist character. And how they adapted it, I was like, oh shit. It's like really fucking cool. And then the twist happens. And I was like, oh fuck, that was awesome. I didn't see that coming at all. And I also love the implication in the one shot, I think it's after Captain America, where they're like, hey, the actual Mandarin exists. He's not such a fan that you stole his shtick. And because they're interviewing Trevor in prison. And he's like, yeah, the real Mandarin's out there. And he's not happy. It's like, oh, I would love to see them actually come back and do the Mandarin proper, but I don't know how you beat Ben Kingsley pre-twist Mandarin, because that was fucking awesome. His voice is so...
What wasn't Killian
good.
Mandarin?
No, like there's Killian stole that persona from an
Yeah.
actual terrorist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like Killian took that persona and created this global terrorist when it was just some guy in the Middle East. I think is what implication is.
They're getting at.
Because in the comics, Mandarin leads the Ten Rings. He found this crashed spaceship, and that had basically, it was like basically future tech that would give him like elemental powers and stuff like that.
Nice.
But yeah, I also really dug the continuation of their Extremis story that they had kind of started in Iron Man 1. Because Iron Man 1, the changing of his origin to being the Afghan War, and like the heart thing with the magnet in the chest, and even Yinsen, the doctor in Iron Man 1, all from the Extremis comic. Like it was a mini series that only really lasted a couple years. And it was all lifted from this, like Maya Hansen in Iron Man 3, Killian, all of that. And Killian in the Extremis comic book, I think he kills himself. That's what kicks off the whole story.
Oh.
He basically admits, hey, I did this horrible thing to the human body because I wanted to try to help humanity evolve a little bit. And that's what kicks off the whole story. So that his character is radically different from the comics. Even Maya Hansen as well, and a few of the others too. They're quite a bit different characters, but I enjoyed the continuation of that adaptation that they had going across multiple movies. Even like down to the armor in Iron Man 1, the design is like pulled directly from that comic book, which was pretty cool. And like Joey said, the suits were cool, but man, they just really didn't do a whole lot.
No.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as Jarvis is like, hey, my boss just kind of gave our address to a global terrorist. Let's do party mode like right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Why would you? Yeah.
But again, Jarvis is not an autonomous AI as of yet. So,
Yeah.
like, that would all be on Tony, who's clearly, like I said, not okay. He's not in his right mind. And not thinking clearly because, like, in the beginning of the movie, he says he hasn't slept in, like, 6 days. Which is, like, basically he'd be really messed up from just that. Not to mention the PTSD and all that stuff. But generally speaking, I don't think it's the weakest of the Iron Man movies. I still think Iron Man 2's villains are bad enough, especially like because like Iron Man 2 and 3 kind of had dual antagonists, you know. There's Justin Hammer and what's his name, Ivan Vanko in Iron Man 2.
Yeah,
and then there's Killian / Mandarin in Iron Man 3. I think the combo in Iron Man 3 is a little bit better than in Iron Man 2, even though Sam Rockwell's pretty fucking awesome.
I would say the opposite. I like Iron Man 2 better than Iron Man 3.
I'd say it's kind of splitting hairs. Like they're very clearly both inferior to the first Iron Man, in my opinion.
For sure.
But yeah, that's my general thoughts. Anything else anyone wants to add to that movie? I did enjoy I actually really enjoyed the post tag, not the post movie tag, but the end button on the movie, you might say, where he throws the cylinder that he had in his chest into the ocean and takes the robot and drives it away. I really enjoyed that because it's like a wrap up of, hey, I could have fixed myself the whole time. I was just holding myself back, and now I'm moving forward. You know, instead of being stuck in the cycle. I really enjoyed that kind of through line of the movie, even though it didn't always get executed so well.
So at the end of the movie, they fix the hole in his chest, or they get the shrapnel out.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't have the light in his chest, but then in later movies he does.
The suit does.
I thought
in Infinity War, it's just a housing unit that's on the shirt, I think.
Okay.
Because it didn't, because again, they didn't show him like shirtless or anything, so it's hard to say like how it looks. But I think it was basically he had something that was like almost like a harness that he wore that held that unit on.
Okay, got it.
At least that was how they. Again, if they could show it more in Endgame, who knows how it's actually going to look? But because after Iron Man 3. Until Infinity War, you never see him with like a shirt and the light shining through or anything like that.
You don't see it in Ultron?
I don't think so.
No.
Pretty sure I don't. Yeah, pretty sure you don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess I got to watch it again and look specifically for that.
All right. So speaking of another movie, let's move on to the second movie in Phase 2. That is Thor: The Dark World. Chris, let's get your thoughts first on this, since Joey went first last time.
I like Thor: The Dark World. I think it's a lot of people don't. I understand. Some people don't. Some people like other Thor movies better than this one. I like other Thor movies better than this one, but only one better than this one. And
It's because you're fucking insane.
No, you're wrong. But we're not there yet. Next time on Dragon Ball Z. But like, sure, this one definitely has the worst of the villains in.
I agree.
In the Thor movies,
which really sucks because it's Christopher Eccleston and he's awesome, but he gets nothing to do.
He's such a one-tone character, very boring. Who cares about him? But what I love about this movie is not the character study of Thor, but the character study of Loki. I think they give him a lot more personality in this movie because of what happens to him and Thor's mother and how he reacts to that, and then how he works with his brother but is kind of hesitant but kind of isn't. He's still a mystery in this movie, but it's a really, really intriguing mystery that he is. And I'm Loki's the best part of the Thor franchise, hands down. Like, there's no question for me that that's what it is. So I like how they handled him in this movie, and that is enough to get me to love this movie. But I think the action pieces were pretty interesting. The entire jailbreak scene pretty much was phenomenal. Getting to see Frida just kick some butt, and you kind of learn where Thor gets like his nature for beating up bad guys, and then Loki's nature for creating illusions and trickery is all from their mother, kind of thing. So I really like how I like this one. It's close to Thor 1, but I think Thor 1 still wins, but I still think it's just fine. The bad guy sucks, but everything else seems fun to me.
All right. Joey, what do you got?
Chris kind of covers everything, basically, for me. I liked, the escape scene was really cool. The Dark Elves, ships I thought were kind of interesting. And I was like, they have to, like, some would physically hit things to destroy things.
Yeah, they were kamikazeing.
Yeah, kamikaze, which I thought was kind of dope.
I like how they were knife flying, and they looked like knives. It was great.
Yeah, it was a very cool design.
Yeah.
I don't know, as of right now, this is probably the best Thor movie for me. Just throwing one out there.
See, I'm of the mind that actually Thor 1 is, for all its faults, and kind of in spite of itself, a better movie. Mostly because Chris Hemsworth is better in this Thor. Like, he's more of the Thor we know from the Avengers in this movie than he is in Thor 1. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have the weird fucking bleached eyebrows. He has his...
Is that the killer for you?
It's so off-putting. Like, it's like looking at like someone that's been de-aged, like, badly. You know, like, you can't quite get over it. You know, like Peter Cushing in the recreation of his face in Rogue One. Like, you just can't quite... Like, I don't like this, and I kind of don't know why. Valley. It's a little bit like that when you change someone's look from how you know how they should look, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with you there.
Because that it takes a skill to make that believable, especially like via makeup and stuff. And the first Thor really didn't. And the first Thor is way smaller and, you know, easier to pick apart. But I really loved the more familial tragedy-ish of the story, you know? Shakespearean-ness of the story. And the Destroyer was just a cool design. But Thor 2, Thor: The Dark World, I think it's the worst of the bunch, at least in Phase 2, by a wide margin. And we'll get into that part later. I guess same thing, one of the worst villains across the entirety of the MCU. There's a lot of that going around in Phase 2, actually, as we get further down the list. The better action with Thor, though, like you start to see where they're going with Thor, how they portray his powers in Ragnarok and Infinity War. Like the first fight on Vanaheim when he fucking twirls the hammer and just rips rips apart the Cronin in one shot and just scatters him up into the air. Fucking cool. And like you see the hammer fly out of the Bifrost, like and moving before Thor lands, which is the same thing that happens in Infinity War. As Ragnarok shows, like you can move and talk and stuff like inside of the Bifrost as it's going. Right. You know how they portray it. So like you can kind of, and plus in the fight, in the final fight, when he's using the hammer, like you see the lightning start to like actually be used closer to how he ends up in Ragnarok. Like you see like lightning coming off of him and stuff, as opposed to just out of like the hammer of the sky. Plus the hammer trailing him as they're flying through portals in space, and the hammer's just like,
oh, that is super fun.
The hammer's just like, what the fuck is going on? And
like it starts leaving Earth, and then he teleports back, and it just like turns around and starts coming back.
Yeah,
that's great.
That was very inventive, and I really, really dug that. Along with the which way to Greenwich? Like take this train 3 stops, and he's just standing on the train like, yep, I'm just gonna hang on here. Yep. Thought that was really cool, and that was just a really fun break in the action that really felt more like a Whedon movie than the Thor that we'd been getting up to that point. You know, like it felt out of place, but not in a bad way. It was like, oh, that was really unexpected and fun, and then the final fight keeps going. I really actually enjoyed their final fight with like even as ill-defined powers as the bad guys, you know, red mist powers were. I really enjoyed Thor fighting and like showing like different moves and stuff. That was cool. Loki is fantastic all around, but man, the plot's just kind of all over the place. Like, are these guys like they predate the universe? In which case, they're really, really fucking old, like billions of years old, or like, and how old is Thor's grandpa? You know, like Bor. Like, how long does everyone live? Loki says like 5,000 years, but that can't really be the case, given how they age between like the year 900 and Thor 1 when their dad's talking about their past and all that. They're really all over the place with how Asgard works. Like, is it just a race of people in our galaxy, or are they extra-dimensional? You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
Like, are they a separate... Because, like, in Ragnarok, they say this, too. Like, it would take 18 months to get to Asgard. So that means it's a place in the galaxy, and they could fly there. You know?
I think of
that. Or are they extra-dimensional? Or is it just wormhole? Like, is the Bifrost just like a subspace where you can travel through to get to a point and, like, kind of folds yourself under space to get somewhere really fast?
Interstellar.
Yeah, like there is their version of interstellar travel, basically. Yeah. So like it's really weird because like they set it up to be like maybe they're extra dimensional in Thor 1, and now they're like, nah, they're just a race. But then they also throw in the extra dimension stuff with the convergence. Like,
true,
really weird. Because if it was extra dimensional, that means it's a multiverse, which means like the guys are literally trying to collapse the multiverse. Fucking confusing. And it didn't make a whole lot of sense, and it was really poorly explained. But wasn't a huge fan of that whole part of the movie. But like you said, some of the visuals were really cool. Thor's powers, how they portrayed them, were much better than in Thor 1, and I think even the Avengers, outside of the Empire State lightning strike sequence, that was really cool. And plus, the flying actually looked better in this than frickin' Infinity War. But that's for Phase 3. But man, okay. The flying at the end of Infinity War when he's destroying that spaceship does not look good. Go rewatch that scene. It looks fucking weird.
I don't remember what you're thinking.
When he flies through and destroys the ship in the end of Infinity War, when he's like destroying the army dog things or whatever they are, destroys the ship, blows it up. He flies through it. It looks bad.
Okay.
Oh man, I don't even remember that. I gotta watch that movie again.
Yeah, that's a whole. It's a whole other thing, and not quite as bad as the Black Panther 2 fight at the end with their flying.
Oh my gosh!
Not quite that bad, but it's similar in that it looks kind of rubbery, CGI. But that's a topic for another time. That's. Anybody else got anything to add on Thor 2?
No.
Before we get to the greatest movie in the MCU.
Guardians of the Galaxy?
No. What's the literal next movie?
This is a toss-up. It's very, very close for the best movie in the MCU. That's for sure.
Oh,
And that's a testament to the fact that this one came out in 2014.
Yeah.
There have been so many movies after it.
God damn.
It's still that good. Of course, we're talking about Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Oh, I love this movie so much.
From the jump, it's one of the best movies in the MCU. That fucking boat sequence
starts off so good.
The Russo brothers literally make you sit up in your chair and go, "Oh shit, I'm fucking in on this." When he fucking launches the dude off overboard with a kick, just wham, just
How
nails
many
him.
people does he murder in that scene? There's got to be a couple dead people in there.
A couple dozen.
It's
I
great.
was just like,
It's incredibly
fuck,
effective.
dude.
Like you go, "Oh
it so
shit,
is.
Cap is a fucking badass," and I am here for it. Like,
did you just jump out with no parachute?
it's like jumping out without the parachute. Just the continual conversation with him and Black Widow about finding him a date. Like just a
that's
fun
pretty
little
Oh
throwaway.
yeah, while they're fighting, it's great.
Yeah.
Fun little throwaway. Black Widow gets some awesome moments when she like repels using the dude's weight as a counterweight and shoots around his body. Awesome. Awesome Mission Impossible-ish like moment there, which is a good way to show like I see this movie as a blend of 3 different types of movies. It's a hard-hitting action movie, you know, a la your like John Wick's, kind of like heavy on the action choreography. It's also a spy movie like Mission Impossible. And then it's also a superhero movie with lines like "This isn't freedom, this is fear." Like, it's such a good mishmash of all these like spy thriller, action movies, superhero tropes, and nothing breaks. Like, it all fits together perfectly. And it's
so good.
It's so unique in that it's a cross-genre movie, and it all works. There's no part that makes you go, "Oh, that's kind of a drag. Wish you could cut that out." No, it's all awesome, down to the frickin' Danny. How do you say his last name from Community?
Danny Pudi.
Oh,
Yeah, I never know how to say his last name. Even his cameo, you're just like, cool. You know, like nothing slows this down from the very jump. That opening sequence, it's fantastic. You know, like and especially my all-time favorite line in at least the Cap lines is that "This isn't freedom, this is fear" when they're talking about the Project Insight. It was awesome, and like the Bucky reveal isn't the last thing. Like they do it in the middle of the movie. Like he's still got 35 minutes of like now you know he's Bucky. And like you get this, and it really makes the payoff of him at the end deciding to save Steve at the very end of the movie. It really gives weight to that because like you have time to get that he's been brainwashed and now he's finally starting to come out of it, and it doesn't just end on the reveal that Bucky's alive, which I think a lot of movies would have done, especially earlier movies would have just been like, "Hey, teaser for the next one, he's alive." But no, they did it middle of the movie, which I really dug. Robert Redford as frickin' the Hydra leader. God, that was cool. Robert Redford is awesome, and the fact that they got a guy like him to be in a Marvel movie is freaking cool. I really enjoyed that.
I feel like him doing that, and we'll get to this later in this podcast, but like led into people like what's his name? Frickin'
Jeff Goldblum?
No. The guy that played the Pym.
Oh, Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas, yeah. How they got
and
somebody like Michael Douglas to be in event or in the MCU as well. Like,
yeah.
So that's a huge, amazing actor.
Yeah.
And he's in the MCU.
And they even continue it in the next one with Guardians of the Galaxy with freaking Glenn Close. Is the Nova Corps, Nova Prime. Like, what? Like, they went hard in the Phase 2 on getting some big names, like, beyond.
Oh, and even the movie before, in Thor the Dark World, at the end credits, you see Benicio del Toro.
Like, with the Collector and everything.
Yeah. It's freaking... They went hard, and it's paid off through the movies. Like, it's incredible.
And the fact that they keep getting the guys, like, people to come back and stuff for future roles is really, really awesome. Let's see what else. I would remiss to not say this. That knife fight between Bucky and Cap.
It drops it from one hand, has it spin, and then he catches it and just keeps going, and it's just so fluid. I love it.
So fucking good.
So good.
It's the best fight scene possibly in the...
It's so good because it starts with him punching the shield and just holding the punch. Like, that's such a good shot. Oh my god. But yeah, that's enough talking out of me. What did you guys think of Captain America: The Winter Soldier?
Go, Joey.
Oh, it was so freaking good. The action sequence, even like the beginning before the action sequence, on your left.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fucking
Don't you say it!
hilarious.
On your left.
Don't you say it! He starts running and trying to keep up with them. I mean, it kind of starts off like that, and then gets picked up in that fucking awesome Camaro, and then
I think
Corvette.
It's a Porsche.
Sorry,
Was it Corvette?
it's a Corvette.
It's Corvette.
Black Corvette. Yeah. God, and then into the boat, and there's so much like, is there like a 2 double crosses or something dumb like that? By like, yeah, it's tough to keep track of, like, I would say crosses, but like
Twist.
how many twists? Yeah, there we go. It's a better term than that. The fighting was amazing. Everything's well choreographed, even down to the shooting. Hawk was awesome. Yeah, God, no complaints on this movie, really.
Yeah, there's not a single thing that I can think of.
And the Nick Fury's fucking, like, his car. I can't
The
remember.
car scene. Oh my god.
That's intense. I was just like,
Where he lets the bullet integrity of the window go down to the
Yes.
perfect point, and then he's like, "All right, my turn."
deploy.
And then he just lays them out. It's great.
Fuck. That's awesome. No, I like the movie so much. I really do. And the elevator scene's pretty classic too.
Yeah.
Oh my
Where,
goodness!
Everyone's just
Before
getting
we
up in the
start,
fucking thing.
Does anyone want to get out?
Right?
Yeah.
I love it.
I love how you can go through like each scene of the movie and go, oh, that was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was amazing. That was awesome. Like, that's a mark
Yeah,
of a fantastic movie.
I guess
Yeah.
that's the thing about this movie. You can't go through a scene and be like, "That was a bad scene."
Yeah.
Like every single scene in this movie has a place. It's awesome, and like I just want to watch the movie over and over again.
Yeah, like, for that, it's the most watched movie of the MCU for me. Like, I've watched it easily a dozen times. Easy. Like, even more than the Avengers, which I saw like 8 times in theaters. I saw this movie more times between theater and Blu-ray or Netflix and whatnot. It's awesome.
It's great.
It really is.
I think one of the things that I love about this movie, like when he's on the boat in the beginning, he fights he does the one-on-one combat with that French guy or whatever, Belgian guy or something.
Yeah, Batroc.
Yeah. And one of the lines that he says that gets Cap to put his shield away is, "I thought you were more than a shield," which in a way is talking about the rest of the movie, about how Captain America is more than the shield, and like shield as a organization, it's more than he doesn't have to follow those laws of that thing because technically it's broken. It's Hydra.
Yeah.
So it's like it's only this last time that I realized it, that he's saying, it's kind of foreshadowing, well, there's no more S.H.I.E.L.D, but Captain America is still going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was planned, but it's pretty awesome if you think about it that way.
Chris is thinking on a whole other level from us, Joey.
You know,
He's super deep.
like a whole new plane.
Yeah, on this movie and on that one quote.
Yeah, that one quote. He just went in like pot level detail. This is like, dude, do you think about it as like his shield represents shield,
God,
and like how it's corrupt,
let's go surfing.
and then
Yeah.
he puts it away, and that's just saying that shield is corrupt and yeah.
Whoa, what's the meaning of life, man?
Yeah, man. Do
Plus,
you think when he does an uppercut?
Plus, this movie for me gets extra points because this is the exact moment Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. became the best show on network television when this movie came out. That show became fucking amazing. After the Hydra reveal. So fucking good.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we've gushed over this movie enough. Let's move on to another movie we're going to probably gush about.
I was about to say, we gotta gush some more right now.
Like, man, they really, outside of one movie in this next, this Phase 2 ended super strong for me. Guardians of the Galaxy is what came out next. This one dropped, actually I didn't even say this about the last two, dropped in August of 2014. Fun little anecdote. This came out the very, 2 days after I got out of the hospital for my last round of stomach surgeries. So, I'd been in the hospital for a month, and watching trailers for this movie like nonstop because it was on all the TV shows I was watching in the hospital. Came out with a bag. I was down like 50 pounds. I was down to like 105, and got out. Went to a friend and was like, I'm not missing this fucking movie. And he drove me to the theater and we saw it opening night and I was blown away. It was fantastic.
It's incredible.
Like, there's so much stuff I could gush about this movie. But, you know, like the soundtrack, you gotta start there because the soundtrack's fucking amazing. Like the OG score too, really, like not even the licensed tracks are really good. I love their theme. And, you know, and then roll it into the licensed track, and what a great selection of tracks for the mixtape. So good. They were all used so well in the story, especially the well, at least and plus they use them in the trailers too to great effect. The what is that, Blue Suede? Yeah, Blue Suede with the remember that initial trailer?
Oh yeah.
All the marketing and stuff was coming out and everyone was like, not sure about this movie. And then the fucking Blue Suede trailer drops. And everyone was like, all right, you did it again. I'm fucking in. And I feel like this is the movie that made everyone go, well, fuck it. Whatever they do, I'm in. Whatever they do, I'm in. Some of them a talking fucking tree and a talking raccoon.
I'm Groot.
What? And it just all works. It's really good.
It does. And, like, to an effect, it could just be a standalone film. It doesn't have to be part of the Marvel Universe. It was just so good.
Well, I mean, they are.
This part of Marvel Universe
up until Infinity War, they're super standalone-ish because they don't really cross over. But it's just really, really fun storytelling.
Fuck. It really was. And just to watch it, it was good.
All right, Chris, what do you
got?
What
scene.
do you think? Hit us with those deep thoughts.
Whoa, man! Did you see? Like this movie is. I'm somebody who needs to go into a movie, and if it's a comedy, I need to be wanting to see a comedy.
Yeah, clearly. Based on your thoughts on another movie.
That is a poorly done comedy.
Okay.
And we will go into reasons as to why when we get to that movie.
Okay.
This is a good comedy. It's just like each character has their own style of comedy in it. You have Drax, who has this very dull, he doesn't know what humor is, and that's what makes him humorous. So it's like when he says metaphors will, when Rocket says metaphors will go right over this guy's head, he's like, nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too sharp, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, just those types of things for Drax. You have Groot that literally will impale 10 guys on his extended arm, slap them around a tunnel, turn around and smile at you like a puppy dog. That's hilarious. You got Star-Lord, who is just the Han Solo of the MCU, and there's nothing that's not awesome about him. Gamora, I think she comes into her actual funniness in the second one. And then you got Rocket, who wants to steal people's eyes
and their legs.
Or legs. Yeah. But like, I don't know. This one just like, the writing was perfect. Edgar Wright was it Edgar Wright?
No, it's James Gunn.
James Gunn. I always get those two confused. Edgar Wright was supposed to do Ant-Man.
Yeah.
But he didn't. James Gunn did an amazing job at kind of selling all of that humor. Like, he mixed the action that was needed in an MCU film. He mixed the character developed that was needed in an origin story, all with humor in like the most perfect way. And he was able to do that with a soundtrack already in his mind. You could tell that every single song on that soundtrack was like, oh, this is what we're using at this point. This is what we're using at this point, type of thing. And I don't know. That is the perfect comedy film, in my opinion, is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay. We would agree.
I'm gushing over it. Gushing. Like a gusher.
Just like a good gusher. Okay, problems like gushers, like now, I feel like they're all clustered together when I open them, so it's just like one giant conglomerate of weird gushiness.
They still sell
Besides
gushers?
They so do, dude.
I haven't
Yeah,
had Gusher in years.
They haven't like they're not separate in packs. They're all just like one giant, and it's kind of a hot mess in there. But in my review on Guardians of the Galaxy, is really good. Everything all the way because Chris kind of covers everything, kind of middle and everything, till the end fight scene. That's kind of my problem with this one here. My problem is that how does the no, I can't even think. The leader of the Kren,
Ronan,
I can't even think of his
the
name.
Kree.
Cronin, thank you. Sorry, Kren. I don't know, but how he just gets distracted by Star-Lord trying to start a dance-off. I mean, I don't know. It just felt weird. I mean,
if there was a Chris Pratt standing in front of you doing pelvic thrusts, would you be distracted?
First of all, I throw dollar bills at him.
Gamora does earlier in the movie say she won't be distracted by his pelvic sorcery.
But it just, I don't know, it just felt, I don't know, weird. When I was like, oh, all this great fight going on and stuff like that. And he lands,
I agree, especially
he appears, and he's going to throw on the ground. I'm like, what?
Especially right after the sacrifice of Groot.
Yeah, exactly. And they're just going to be like, yeah, challenge you to a dance-off. He's like, what? What do you mean? I'm not going to end this place now? Freaking, I don't know. That's my only problem with that.
I totally understand that. He's got an Infinity Stone, and he uses his hammer's push power.
Yeah.
And then he gets on the Earth, and he's like, "Oh, there's a dance going on in front of me.
Yeah, I should stop and watch."
Kill everybody now.
Yeah.
God, nope.
That is pretty poor, but
yeah,
it fits the tone of the movie, I think.
Yeah, and that's where I would say like
not up to that.
It's a bad, not a bad villain, like a lame villain, but the villain. A lot of movies. You're defined, hero or the group of heroes is defined by the villain. Mm-hmm. This movie isn't made that way. It's made as a ensemble hero story, like not a fighting the villain story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the crux of the movie is the characters and their interactions with each other, and growing as people versus fighting a bad guy. And trying to figure out how to beat him. That's not
finally at the end, standing up in a circle like a bunch of jackasses.
Yeah, like that's the point.
Very
of the movie.
anime finish there.
The point of the movie is them coming together, not the fight.
Them.
Where it's like in Avengers, it's them coming together in the first part, but the goal is to figure out how to save the world, right? In this one, it's the whole point of the movie is them coming together and figuring out how to be a team. And I love that each individual group in the Guardians gets their individual arc that weaves itself into the main story without overshadowing other characters or too much of the story. Like Drax coming to terms with his family's death, Gamora rebelling against Thanos, and the fact that coming to terms with the fact that she's not even really a person because Thanos kidnapped her and made her into this thing,
Mm-hmm.
And then Star-Lord figuring out how to become a leader, Rocket figuring out how to not be a standoffish asshole because his life has sucked.
Right.
And then Groot, just basically being Groot. He doesn't really get a whole lot except for the sacrifice, of course. But he also doesn't need to because he's very simple, a simpler character, almost Iron Giant-ish kind of character. The shown through his actions, less words and stuff.
Right.
So, and I thought they all worked really, really well together. Plus, Yondu didn't die, so we get more character arc from him in the next movie, who may or may not die in that one. We'll see what happens. But and I really enjoyed the kind of he's like a secondary antagonist almost in Yondu, and Michael Rooker is awesome. He's fantastic and
so good.
I loved the look of him and how because I remember when people freaked out that he didn't have the big ass fin on top of his head. People freaked out about that. Nerds everywhere were like, he doesn't look anything like the comics. Doing this flat mohawk thing looks terrible. And you get the movie like, oh, it looks pretty fucking cool. And
people at this point should have started to think, well, Marvel might not be doing it exactly like the comics, but it's freaking working.
Yeah. And it just
they've done it for 12 movies or 8 movies beforehand or something like that.
Yeah, it was 9 at this point.
It's working.
Yeah. They still aren't quite there. I think after this movie, we see a lot less of that outside of Ant-Man, but that's a whole other thing because that was more of a mainstream audience problem, less a nerd audience problem. And then the Ravagers, I loved how they differentiated them and the Nova Corps in terms of how their spaceships and flight stuff works. With the submersible tactics when they shot those big, fireballs at Thanos' ship and then just dove like a submersible down, up, and under. Like that was really
That's
cool. I
really
love how
cool.
they showed those tactics of spaceships, different than the Nova Corps who use their shields primarily in defensive posture versus offensive. That was pretty cool. I actually really liked that. But yeah, I mean, it was just a really, really well-rounded cast, and we get the most explicit explanation of Infinity Stones. Really kind of crack open the cosmic side of the MCU to set up phases 3 plus Endgame and on into 4. Like, we wouldn't be getting Infinity War and stuff without a Guardians showing the wider universe. Otherwise, how do you show Thanos if he just shows up on Earth? That'd be really fucking weird. So they use this to slowly set up that wider universe with a singularly great story.
Right, because beforehand we had only seen like Thor and stuff where you have Jotunheim.
And they really poorly explained the ether in Thor: The Dark World.
Yes.
That was like, wait, they're talking about the Infinity Stones. Like you had to kind of figure that out. It was poorly explained. Again, it came down to the whole, what the fuck is this plot? Like, is it a multiverse? Are they extra dimensional? Are they in the same plane of reality as us? Who the fuck knows? Right? Like, whereas in this one, the Collector's like, no, here's the Infinity Stones. People can't handle it. They're literally power in the palm of your hands, and they'll fucking kill you.
Destroy you.
You know, like, I really enjoyed that explicit, this is the thing. Pay attention to this thing. It's okay to be on the nose sometimes, and they were on the nose, I think, in a good way when it came to the Power Stone. For this one, for being a MacGuffin, it got well explained as to why we should pay attention to this.
Yeah.
Would agree.
All right, I think that buttons up Guardians of the Galaxy quite well. Let's move on to the second Avengers, Age of Ultron. So this one came out, I want to say it was May 1st, 2015? Yeah. Another one that crossed $1 billion, it was 1.4.
God damn.
Let's see. The only other one in Phase 2 to hit $1 billion was Iron Man 3, which was the first one that came out after the Avengers.
Okay.
Everything else was under 800 million, actually. We had Thor at 644, Cap at 714, Guardians at 773, and then Ant-Man comes in at 519. So, and that one, Ant-Man comes out in July 2015. But on to Age of Ultron. Kind of the odd man out for me in the Avengers movie. Not a bad movie by any stretch. I think better than most. I think better than average in the MCU. But when you compare it to Infinity War and the OG Avengers, it's a stark drop. It's the bottom. It's the bottom of the pack. Even though the bottom that low bar is still pretty high. Similar to what we were talking about, how we rank, Incredible Hulk and Thor, kind of low. But by the bar of superhero movies, they're still above the bar. But just via the MCU, they're a little lower.
Right.
So for me, I love James Spader. His voice work is awesome. I just went in not expecting that kind of Ultron. Like, he's very crazy, stark robot child versus opposed to every incarnation of Ultron we'd seen up to that point in comics and the animated shows was almost more Terminator. Like, very matter of fact,
Oh, damn.
Blunt kind of, less. He's too human in this one, jarringly to me. On rewatch, it was better, but even in the promos for Age of Ultron, they were setting him up to be this really dark, really serious protagonist, using dark twists on stuff like Pinocchio lines. There are no strings on me. Remember that original trailer where they reveal his voice? It's like, oh my god, that voice is amazing. And then the characterization of him changed from that into this creature basically figuring out how to exist and be crazy and chaotic, when I was expecting more of a in control, Terminator type evil. And maybe that's a case of expectations versus reality, but it felt like that's how they were setting up in the marketing and stuff, plus what we'd gotten previously.
To be honest, I didn't know what Ultron really was going into this movie, so I thought Ultron was totally fine.
Oh yeah, in rewatch, he's not bad. It was just different than what I had expected. And James Spader is freaking awesome. I love that guy.
Goodness, yeah.
But
he can snap from just kind of a playful banter to I'm going to kill you and I'm going to cut off your arm type of thing in a moment's notice, and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And I think that's what works so well with him on this
Did.
version of Ultron.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's the only reason to watch The Blacklist on NBC because he's amazing. He's so charismatic in like a bunch of different roles that he's in. He's a fantastic actor. Anybody else got anything to add before I go through my list? Because my list on this one's actually the longest.
Let's just talk about the opening scene because I'm rewatching it right now because I love it a lot. God, that was a good fight scene for a while there.
Oh yeah, the versus the Hydra base.
Yeah, that was so fucking good. I mean, you have fucking Captain America hurling his motorcycle into a group of people. You've got frickin' it's just really good. Sorry, I was just rewatching it again.
It's quite good. Cool. It's one of the standout MCU moments for me. That opening fight when they're lining up. Well, they're excited. And Thor whams on the shield, and it creates a shockwave down the field. They're like, that's fucking cool. That was really really well done.
Yeah.
I liked. I think this movie really brought out Hawkeye.
Yeah, this
was kind of like a miniature Hawkeye movie.
Yeah, this was this was the best characterization we've got of him.
Yeah. I love that, but I think there's an issue with this movie, and I think it's a reason why it's so far down on the list. I don't think it's a horrible movie, and I don't think it's anywhere near one of the worst movies in the MCU. But this movie tried to set up so many different things. They brought in Scarlet Witch, which they had to kind of like give a character arc to in this. But that took some time. They tried to bring in, here's the, is it the Mind Stone?
Yeah.
That he has.
Yeah.
So here's the Mind Stone, and we're gonna make the Vision out of this, and it's Jarvis and everything. But no, it's the Vision. Blah 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 blah. We got Wakanda to set up. We gotta bring in Ulysses Claw and set up Black Panther and all that jazz. There's more that they set up in this. I just can't figure it out at this moment. But it's a lot of the, I think, negative part about this for me is that they took too much time to set up future things than to focus on what this movie really was. Oh, and they also had to set up Civil War, technically, because this is like the inciting incident for Captain America Civil War.
True.
This was a typical sequel movie. If Avengers was the first, this is the sequel, where it's less about how the characters become the characters. It's one of those, we're just setting up the final bit of this. And that's kind of what this was. This was setting up the phase 3, I guess, in general. So, I don't know.
So yeah, I agree. For me, I think you were talking about the stuff they were setting up. I thought the Civil War prequel stuff, like Tony and Cap, like having it out by words and then by fists later in the movie, that was like the best part of their setup. Like, it was the most believable. It was the most, and now that we know how it pays off, I think it was the best. The best way they could have seeded that conflict, so it's not out of nowhere in Civil War. Plus, this was, to your point about too much stuff, this is the movie that broke Joss Whedon from doing a lot of superhero movies, and specifically Marvel. It's also, because of how it happened and how everything behind the scenes went down with Whedon, they broke up their creative council or whatever they had. That was like Brian Michael Bendis and a bunch of other creators, and I think his name is Perlmutter, is the other head of Marvel, and Marvel was like, "No, we're just gonna let Feige do it by himself." And from then on, it was basically his show. Then the Perlmutter guy went to do Marvel Television, which is why they really don't ever cross over with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore. It was mostly because of Perlmutter's an ass. From all the behind the scenes, basically, that I've read, point to him being the guy that just constantly put his hands in other people's shit and said, "No, do it my way." Whereas Kevin Feige is more, hey, let's just tell cool fucking stories and make cool shit and then make it all work together because we can.
Yeah.
And he's the kind of guy a DC needs, whereas Perlmutter is the kind of guy DC is right now. Just a jumbled mess of, doesn't have a vision, really. But from that, again, this is just stuff I've read on various different websites, but that's what broke up, this movie is what broke up that council. which is also the same stuff that messed with Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. Similar kind of meddling type stuff. So with that, knowing that, it's actually a pretty decent movie, knowing the fact that the studio really sucked. And they were the ones that kept, I guess, one of the rumors that kept saying that they wanted to, like, maybe put in Coulson and whatnot, and Whedon was like, fuck no, we're not doing that. So it's a whole thing, because I think that might have been Paul Mutter, because he was in charge of TV at the time, via Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. being on TV. But, let's see, other stuff, Thor's Vision Quest is freaking still stupid. Rewatched him, like, he just pieces out, and just leaves, goes to a fucking cave in the middle of nowhere with no explanation and sees a vision of Ragnarok. What? What does that even mean? Like, we didn't need to have the like. That's on the nose in a bad way, showing like, hey, pay attention to the Infinity Stones. Like that's that versus Guardians of the Galaxy, like I just said. They did it in the no, we're gonna explain it, and it's important, and then we're gonna move on. Like it's not gonna be this. And it didn't feel out of place. You know, it worked within the story, whereas Thor's thing just felt really tacked on.
Because it took a character from the storyline and
took him away to explain him a thing, and then he never explained it to anybody else.
Yeah, right? Which, he never does.
Him, he already
honestly, they don't bring it back up in like the MCU at all.
Yeah, no. And most of the things they just want to ignore how stupid it is. But it's like you didn't need to do that. Like Thor already knows what the Infinity Stones are. Like, he's familiar with them and what they can do and their power and what they all look like, basically. So, like, have him see the Mind Stone in Vision and be like, what the fuck? And then have him explain what the Mind Stone is. That would have been better. Because he's the guy, the one character in your story that knows what the fuck is going on with the Infinity Stones. And let him explain it. Don't beat him over the head with it and then just ignore it. It was weird. It just really took me out of the experience. Other stuff that I had, their version of Quicksilver isn't really bad. It's just the Fox version is really, really cool.
They had to compete with it.
You know, if you could remove the Fox version from your memory, this Quicksilver would be just fine. How they showed his powers, his characterization, totally fine. But then you have to go up against the X-Men version. Yeah. He's a lot cooler in the X-Men.
Yeah.
Mostly because Evan Peters is fantastic in the X-Men movies. He's so good.
So is.
He's fantastic. Let's see what.
I'm just thinking of the scene in Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
He's just running. I'm like, how can you beat that scene as Quicksilver?
That or the scene for me, even in Age, he's the best part of Age of Apocalypse when he's like, man, you really changed my life. I mean, I'm 26, still live in my mom's basement, haven't told my dad I'm his kid, but basically I'm still a loser, but you made me want to not suck. like he's the best part of that movie, by far. And he's one of the best parts of Days of Future Past, which is itself a really, really good comic book movie. But let's see, Vision lifting Mjolnir, awesome, and a fantastic callback to earlier in the movie when they can't lift the hammer. Though I do think Cap didn't actually try. I think he felt it start to give, and it's just like, oh, I'm not gonna. Like, I'm hoping we get a shot.
He's got to lift it up.
I want that. Did you ever read that Justice League Marvel crossover from back in, I think it was the 70s? And you have Superman pick up Cap's shield and then lift Thor's hammer and just fucking go to town on people.
Oh, that's right. That does happen.
Like, that did happen in the actual comic book crossover that they did. I want Cap to get that moment of him. He gets the shield back. Like, maybe Tony gets back to Earth or whatever, and he gets the shield back because you see him strapping it on, so you know we're going to get an awesome shield moment. I want him to pick up the hammer and have the shield and just start wrecking shit. It'd be so cool.
That'd be incredible.
So cool.
Well, do you think they would bring back the hammer, or would he be using the axe?
Oh, I mean, he'd picking up the axe. Same thing. I want him to pick up the axe. You know, it would have been the hammer at the time, but you know, I want to have that awesome splash page type moment where Cap's just super OP Cap. It'd be awesome.
But is the axe imbued with the same ability of that?
I don't know.
Only someone pure of. I think anyone can pick this one up, can they?
I mean, it'd still be incredibly heavy.
Oh God, yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how that goes down. But I know we're gonna get an awesome Captain America Shield moment because this is his last movie, and we fucking better get one.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see what else.
Although I do really like those two shields that he has on his arms.
Oh, and
Those are pretty
none of us
cool.
mentioned this. Fucking Hulk Buster. Yes.
Oh God!
Go
Why
sleep,
did we
go sleep,
not
go
fucking
sleep,
talk
go
about
sleep.
that?
I'm sorry. Wham! Like just or the going down, and he ramps like just twirls up the elevator and just slams it into him,
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
and then he spits out the tooth. I'm sorry. Like, it was so good. That whole Hulkbuster scene was just fantastic.
So
One of the
much
coolest
demolishing.
visual things we've seen in the MCU, at least up to this point. When the suit, like when he's standing there and he's like, I need an arm, and he pops the arm off and it slowly starts to piece itself together, and then their fists meet and the shockwave comes out. Such a cool moment.
Oh yeah.
And it was just a really, really cool fight in the middle. And then we don't see that armor for like 7 movies? That sucks.
Yeah,
It's such cool armor. And they
that'd be
and
good
like
armor to have around.
yeah. I just love that
Well,
they
there's
actually
no
did
other movie
Hulkbuster
that has.
up until Infinity War.
Yeah.
Great usage of the Hulkbuster armor from the comics, and it looked freaking awesome. Like it really did look like big enough to hold Iron Man in his Iron Man suit inside the Hulkbuster suit. It's like, yes, that's so cool. That had a big nerd, big nerd moment for me right there. Let's see. Oh, another one, and this is because I'm a Coulson fan. Really fucking wish they'd put Coulson instead of Fury in this movie. God, that'd have been awesome. Like they think he's dead, and it's just him in the barn,
Bring it back.
and then Tony thinks he's actually going crazy this time, and Coulson's like, no, I'm actually not dead. Like, and then
Or
yeah,
instead of him being in the barn,
when he
he's
shows
the
up
one who
in the
comes with
helicarrier.
airship.
Because
Yeah.
in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they set up that, like, there's a whole season-long arc of Coulson keeping this big secret, and everyone thinks he's, like, trying to control powered people and, like, to take over, like, the government or whatever, and then turns out, oh, nope, he was just fixing the helicarrier from the first Avengers in case they needed it. And then he turns around and goes, yeah, guys, what? I'm Coulson. I'm Phil Coulson. I'm the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I get to have secrets. Like it was a really good turnaround moment because there's this whole it was really well done in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because everyone thought he was doing something bad. And turns out, no, he was just fixing the helicarrier. It was a really cool episode. But plus, I just want more Coulson. Fuck, can't wait for Captain Marvel. So yeah, that's that about does it for me on my thoughts on Age of Ultron. Anyone else have anything to add before we get to the final MCU film?
I'm good on this.
Okay,
You got her all covered there.
moving on to the last Phase 2 movie. That would be the one and only Ant-Man. Came out in July of 2015. And this is the one that I was talking about maybe had the mainstream audience issue. This one only grossed $519 million, down from $1.4 billion in the last Marvel movie in the Avengers. But it had a way smaller budget, like nearly half the budget of Avengers. Age of Ultron. So,
Now, do you think it was that because it was Ant-Man, it was just a weird property? Or do you think it was a fatigue thing where it's like,
I don't think it was fatigue at all.
I don't think it's fatigue.
Judging box office on later movies, I don't think it's fatigue at all. And I don't think we're still going to get there for a while. Maybe post-Endgame we will. We'll see. Once the current crop, the initial crop of actors goes through, if it continues to expand and grow. But I think it's a weird property.
Yeah.
And Paul Rudd's not an A-lister. You know what I mean? Like, at the time especially, like, he's not a guy who leads a $1 billion movie. You know what I mean?
True.
Like, he's not The Rock. He's not, Vin Diesel. He's not Tom Cruise.
Right.
Guys leading $1 billion franchises. And he's a really, really likable dude. And it's a weird property. And Evangeline Lilly also really wasn't that big at the time. She was, the biggest thing she would have been known for at the time was Lost, right? And plus,
The Hobbit.
And The Hobbit, yeah. The 2 movies that nobody else saw.
Right.
She was only in the 2 of them, right? Or was she in all of them?
She was in only 2 of them.
Yeah.
Well,
because they just kind of ignore her for a while. Again, it was one of those weird things where they wrote in a brand new character. That was how you don't write in a new character for source material work. But that's a whole other topic of conversation. Maybe that's a just BSing topic. But yeah, I think it was more of it's a weird premise. Yeah, it's real weird. And they also didn't market it as heavily, I don't think. From what I remember. It took a long time for anything about Ant-Man to come out compared to previous properties. Because it really wasn't that far before the movie that they launched that initial trailer where he's like running up the gun and stuff. It took a long time because this was in development hell for forever because it changed directors at the super last minute, changed writers. Nice. Freaking Adam McKay, like Ron Burgundy, whatever. Is that the name of the movie? Legend of Ron Burgundy? Anchorman, yeah. Anchorman, he comedy writer, he came in and he ended up rewriting a bunch of the movie. And then it finally came out, the trailer, and it just took a while to get the marketing swing going. And it's a weird property on top of that. So, because the nerds freaking ate it up the shrinking stuff that they were doing in the initial test footage and stuff, but it took a while to get that, I think, through to the mainstream audience.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys think of Ant-Man?
This movie to me is like Captain America, the first Avenger. I didn't care for it too much when I first saw it in theaters, but as time has gone on, I've started to love it more and more. This one, I like how they went from Avengers Age of Ultron, which has a possibly world-ending event that they have to save, to Ant-Man, which is, oh, I gotta save my family at this point. Like, that's kind of like the end result. Like, the end-all be-all for what's going on for Ant-Man's drive to what's happening here. And, like, I like it when they bring it down to the small world. It's just, I'm a hero, and this is what I'm here to save my family type of thing right away. And the humor in this one's really well done. Paul Rudd, like, they got a real good comedy actor in Paul Rudd. I mean, that entire Baskin Robbins scene is just
yeah,
fantastic.
That's pretty good.
I'll just have something hot and fresh, dude. Like
Baskin Robbins.
Hey, can you help this idiot? Just walk away. It was real good.
But yeah, I think that he made this a good. He was a good fit for Scott Lang.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the times you can't see anybody else playing Iron Man or Tony Stark than Robert Downey Jr. Like, true. But I guess I don't know much about Scott Lang at all.
In the comics,
I can't see somebody else.
In the comics, he's a world-class douchebag.
So he's like,
yeah,
okay.
He's like the worst version of Tony Stark, without the genius part.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's basically Scott Lang.
Okay.
So Joey, what do you got?
That's good. Fighting is pretty good. Really good comedy. I love the can't remember the actor's name. See if it's on the back here. But when he goes into over detail about things, like who told him,
Michael Pena.
Like that.
Yeah,
that was.
Oh my goodness,
he's
those
so
are.
good.
Those are the best
those made me
scenes
laugh
of
a
that
lot.
movie, for sure.
God, he has really good parts there. The giant Thomas the Tank Engine, pretty hilarious.
Yes.
Not gonna lie.
So
the
good.
whole
with the eyes going back and forth.
Yes. And then like the fight on the toy train. I don't know. They're like the fight in the kids' room. I thought was hilarious.
Or they drive up in the van to his house and there's just a bunch of cops there and they just stop and they just start slowly backing up. He's like, back it up, just back it up, keep going. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I mean, there's just a lot of good scenes here.
Yeah.
It's overall it's a good movie. I'd say.
Yep. So I agree. Like Chris was saying, it's nice to have a little more of a street level hero type vibe, almost like a Spider-Man level type conflict, maybe a little bit lower than that even, because Spider-Man's more city, New York City, fate of the city type stuff, whereas this one's more, very much more personal. I love the shrinking tech and the effects that they used to show him shrinking and growing. It was really, really cool. Made for some really unique visuals, like the first time he shrinks and the shower scene and all that. That whole sequence where he falls through and he lands on that vinyl. Let's see. For me, it's got another one of those just fantastic stand-up moments. I'm done breaking into places and stealing shit. So what do you need? Like, well, Scott, I need you to break into a place and steal some shit. And it's fucking Michael Douglas saying that line. It's so good. It's such a good line. And then the next scene after that, I think, is are you going to find my daddy? Hope you don't catch him. And she just,
Yes,
the way she
I was
says
gonna
it,
bring that up.
the way she says it is so good. Like, I love her as, like, having a kid in a movie can be a drag sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But when they nail it, it's really powerful. She was awesome.
She does a really good job.
And in the next one too, she was fantastic, which makes what happens at the end of that one real sad when you really think about it. It's not fun. But I have some theories on how that's going to play into him and Hawkeye in Endgame. That might be a fun conversation.
Oh, I definitely have a theory as to how Hawkeye gets brought into Endgame.
Which we'll talk about that because I wanted to show you because I just thought about how that might play out like a few days ago. So I'll say that after the podcast.
All right.
Let's see. What else do I have? Darren Cross, another not so good villain. Kind of a running theme here in Phase 2.
Yeah.
But I actually, when I'm thinking, I'm going, man, this guy, pre-crazy, like before he starts to go crazy thanks to the shrinking tech, which they did set up in the movie. They're like, hey, you use this, it's going to make you crazy.
Yep.
So I kind of could get him going a little nuts at the end because it's set up in the movie. Pre him going crazy, I'm like, shit, this dude should be Lex Luthor. He should have been Lex Luthor versus Jesse Eisenberg. Like he would have been awesome as the this cocky businessman who's in control of everything. Like damn, he would have been so much better than frickin' the Riddler as Lex Luthor.
That's right. He would make a great Riddler.
He definitely would have.
Oh my gosh.
That's what really pisses me off about that. Because go watch The Social Network and tell me Jesse Eisenberg couldn't have been an amazing Lex Luthor. He totally fucking could have been.
You mean Riddler?
You mean Riddler?
No, when he's in the courtroom, when he's talking to the lawyers, and he's like, "No, you have half of my attention. That is all the attention you deserve." That scene, I'm like, fucking give me that Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I'd eat it up. It'd be amazing. But they didn't. They wrote him like the Riddler, and it sucks. But sorry, that's talking about DC too much. Side note, if Michael Pena is not paid to do an MCU recap post-Endgame into Phase 4, I'm going to be pissed.
That would be incredible!
Because you remember what Samuel L. Jackson did for the Game of Thrones? He did a Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 6 recap, and it's fucking hilarious because it's him going off. Total R-rated, dropping F-bombs all the time. I want to see Michael Pena as Luis just go to town for 10 minutes on the MCU to explain 22 movies into like 10 minutes.
That would be... Oh my gosh, that would be incredible.
Right?
I need this now.
It needs to happen. If Marvel does it, they're leaving one of the greatest internet movies of all time on the table. It would have so many views on YouTube, it'd be insane.
It would...
I need that on
I would share that so much, and I would go out onto corners at my local grocery store with flyers that just have the web link to it.
Yeah, because
and just be like, watch this.
Because post Endgame, you're gonna need a bit of a where do we go kind of refresher, right?
God, yeah.
Make Michael Pena as Luis come back and fucking do it.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
It.
Or you do it him with Samuel L. Jackson. Like
both of them together. But not Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, just Samuel L. Jackson.
Like basically him from Pulp Fiction. That version plus Michael Pena's Luis. Oh my god, that would be one of the greatest things I've ever watched. It'd be so good. Let's see, did I have anything else? Oh yeah, the tone of this one was different for me. I definitely want to hit on this because I don't think anybody else did. It's a heist movie.
Yes.
The score is very much, it's a heist movie score. Like it's, kind of jazzy, upbeat, fast-paced, frantic, and it's like structured, story-wise, more like a heist movie. With the, does everybody know their role? And they go through the role. Or they, is he in the system? I'm in the system? You're in the system? Fucking love that. That whole sequence where they're planning the heist is fantastic. Oh, yeah. So good. Plus the, he got arrested for stealing smoothie machines. 2 smoothie machines. Fucking letting the Baskin Robbins don't play. So many great, supporting character ad-lib, one-lines. So many, the supporting cast in this one, they all get a fantastic moment to shine. Even if it's only 1 or 2 lines, they all get a great line. This is the work of the gypsies. Great line. Or the Baskin Robbins don't play, stuff like that.
Baskin Robbins always finds out, man.
Yeah. Or frickin' Michael Pena's constantly making waffles. so good.
Oh yeah, what the? You want waffle? You want waffle?
So good. And I there's not. But there's some stuff I didn't like. So number one, was he fucking carrying? Because like they say, you retain your mass as you shrink, right?
Mm-hmm.
So was he carrying around a fucking tank in his pocket?
That's something that is definitely theorized about. Is that Hank Pym actually?
He must have super strength.
No, I think what Hank Pym is doing is he's not telling people the exact truth about the science, so that it's harder to figure out how to do it.
Because
it's actually like bringing down some of the mass as well, so that you can carry around a tank in your pocket, but it still retains the force, like when you're a person, of a punch. So I don't know. I think because he was so paranoid about how the technology works getting out, that I feel like he wouldn't actually tell people how it's actually done. And even though he's explained it in the movie, it's not the full truth. So I think that that's something that could possibly explain the fact that it's not actually the same weight. Because technically, I believe it would weigh more if it was shrunk down to that size.
Yeah, like he would have to be as strong as Thor.
Yeah.
Which I'd like to see that, actually, but see him just go toe to toe.
Michael Douglas as strong as Thor.
They do that with the guy from Numbers. One of the guys from Numbers, the old CBS show, he's a fucking Asgardian in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's hilarious.
Really?
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's really, really well done. Because he plays this guy who's like terrified of getting taken back to Asgard, so he destroys all the portals through space he can find. It's great. It's really, really good. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. So I think, that kind of wraps up my thoughts on...
I'll say one thing that I didn't like about the movie. You're David Cross, the bad guy. You have a gun that you can shoot people with that turns them into goo.
Yeah.
And you don't use it.
He uses it once, right?
Part of that
it once
in the
on
bathroom.
The dude.
I think part of that is because I think the reason it worked like that is because they show him grabbing his shoulder very obviously. Like it's structured of like, hey, pay attention to what his hand's doing. And his hand is on his shoulder. Like usually you would see that when someone like puts a tracker on someone or something like that, Whereas in this case, I think he's putting on like a receiver to like take, the radiation or whatever that does the shrinking. And that's when he pulls the trigger on the gun, it shoots it to that receiver, and since it's touching him, it shrinks him.
Interesting.
I think that's what it's doing, because otherwise, how they show him grabbing his shoulder to be like, we should talk about this more, in private. Like, that was weird, unless it meant something with how the gun worked, to me.
Okay.
Or you could just bring it in closer, because he put the hand on his shoulder, you could, like, your reaction is kind of come closer to that person, like he's going to whisper, and he's like...
Yeah, but he does it from far away. He does it while leaning back on the sink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, that's how I read that scene. So yeah, that's it for the our kind of mock small little reviews on each individual MCU Phase 2 film. So let's get into what are some of our favorite moments, favorite lines, scenes, actions, like fights, something like that from Phase 2. Joey, what's your favorite moments?
Gosh. The fact, I guess it would be the reveal for the first time we actually see Winter Soldier when he shoots the grenade under Nick Fury's SUV.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, and they kind of show us how powerful, and he's got this big, weird mechanical arms. Like, everyone's like, oh, what's that? And I'd probably say that's probably one of my favorite scenes, because I am a huge Winter Soldier fan, to see from the background. That first reveal, when you first see him, I'm like, oh my god! I need more of him in my life. And eventually we do get more of him in my life. So yeah, that's definitely probably
That's your favorite MCU Phase 2 moment? Alright.
I'm going to go with that, yeah, because it reveals one of my favorite characters.
Sure, makes sense. Chris, what do you got?
This is real tough, because there are a lot of great moments in all of these movies.
Indeed.
I don't know if I could pick, but I don't know. It's rough. I would probably say maybe how here we go. He got my dick message.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a great line. That's a great line. I forgot about that until just now.
I would add in
so good.
that whole little sequence. I don't believe anyone is 100% a dick.
100%.
Freaking John C. Reilly. I totally forgot he was in that movie.
Yes. Yes. I wish that they had brought him back as a character, but of course they can't now.
no.
Yeah.
Oh well. But yeah, the dick message is
That's
pretty great.
That's real good.
The look on Star-Lord / Chris Pratt's face when he says that too is just
Yeah.
like so genuine.
Yeah, just like pointing at the screen. It's so good.
Yeah.
So good. Let's see. For me, like Chris said, there's a lot. Each movie I think has its own good one, and I can go through them pretty quick. I don't know about the first Iron Man 3. I don't know if that really has a standout moment to me.
Trevor is the standout moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just Trevor in general.
Yeah, the Trevor reveal is fantastic. Let's see, Thor: The Dark World. Like I said, that first fight with Thor, when he's just like, when Sif's like, I had everything under control, then why is everything on fire? Like, and he fucking wrecks the Cronin's shop with the hammer. Really cool. Let's see, Cap, like the entire movie. It's so fucking good. The elevator scene, the first fight with him and Bucky or Winter Soldier, was fantastic. The boat scene, like the reveal with Zola, fantastic. Like the fucking helicarriers shooting each other was so fucking rad as hell. Awesome stuff. Guardians, again, a lot of great moments. That one though, the one that Chris said, that's one of my favorites for sure. But for me, I think the favorite for me is the opening credits, the opening title screen that they did with the Guardians, and he's dancing through it and all that. That was a great. It was very different from previous Marvel movies, and it was really like set the tone so well for that movie. Age of Ultron, fucking Hulkbuster. Oh my god, it was so good. Plus, on a smaller note, the Black Widow story we get about the Red Room, like it's like shit, that's dark.
Yeah.
Like with her, like basically being forced to have her uterus removed so she can't get pregnant, and like explaining that to Bruce, like shit, that's dark.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And plus, the OG Iowa guy, Hawkeye, he was awesome. The whole movie. The sky is falling. We're fighting robots, and I have bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
And then does Quicksilver like run away at some point?
Yeah.
And he just like kind of runs after him. He's just like talking to himself. He's just like just a disgruntled guy.
Yeah, he's like, I can shoot him right now. Nobody would know. Oh, that's how he was fighting with Thor. Somebody sat on him. Oh, so sorry. Like,
yeah, that's perfect. I love that how they just developed Hawkeye.
He was really, really well done. And I don't get what people hate on Hawkeye, because he's just he is the street level guy who's in this weird, awful situations, and he just fucking does his job. He's fantastic, and he's from Iowa, so I have to like him.
Represent.
He's from Waverly, Iowa, where I went to school. At least in the comics, they haven't explicitly said that in the MCU, but he goes to a farm and he's from Iowa in the comics. I don't know why you'd change that. Ant-Man, favorite moment in Ant-Man, probably the train sequence when he's throwing the train cars, and then when Darren Cross is like, "Oh, I'm gonna get run over," and then it just hits him and falls over. And the wide shot.
Yeah, because it like zooms out and it's a great fucking
so
part.
good. There was that and probably the Michael Pena stuff, fantastic.
Yes.
And the I need you to break into a place and steal some shit. Fantastic line.
That's pretty good.
The best line though is "This isn't freedom, this is fear," because it's my boy Cap being fucking Captain America. Loved it. So those are some of our favorite moments and a lot of mine, because I kind of went to town, but I had a whole list. So, all right, now we get to the real meat of the show, guys. It's time to rank those movies. So, pulling up the list here again, I'll have the list on screen here briefly while we give you the rundown. All right, so we'll go bottom to top. Iron Man 2 is at the bottom. Incredible Hulk is number 5. Thor is number 4. Captain America, the First Avenger is number 3. The OG Iron Man is number 2. And The Avengers is number 1. as it currently stands. So what we do for our ranking list is we will go through each individual movie of the MCU by chronological release date. Then we'll decide if it's better than movie in slot number 1. Is it better than slot number 2 by majority vote? Is it better than slot number 3 until it finally doesn't get enough votes to beat a movie? And then it's in that slot. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you watch Phase 1, you get it. I may have explained it differently in that one, but I know how it works in my head. So you'll figure it out.
You'll get it once we start doing it.
All right. I need to rewrite my list here. So I'm going to hard cut.
Can we just skip Iron Man 3 being better than the Avengers because nobody here is going to
I don't think any of the movies in Phase 2, except for maybe one, are better than the Avengers, so we're probably just going to start at Iron Man.
Yes.
Okay.
That is
so
totally
there's,
acceptable.
6 movies in Phase 2?
1, 2, 3.
Yes.
So I need to make my list through 12. 1, 2, 3. That's Phase 1. All right, so...
Oh, you're making your list?
I'm writing my list down so that way I can...
Oh, okay.
I can edit it quicker. I forgot to write out a blank slate of all this, so I can have a new order sheet. As we grow this. All right, so we'll start, of course, with Iron Man 3 because that one came out first. Is that better than the first Iron Man? Does anybody say yes?
No.
Nope.
No.
Is it better than Captain America: The First Avenger? This is where it's going to start to get interesting. Chris, what do you think?
No.
Joey?
Is it better? No. Iron Man
I
3
also
first.
vote no. So that one's majority, but it's close. Because the first Cap's got some issues, but I really like the third act. Thor we'll go same order, starting with Chris to Joey to me. Is Thor better, or is Iron Man 3 better than Thor?
No.
Joey?
I'm thinking. No.
I would say it is, but clearly by majority vote it's not.
Overruled.
So, is Iron Man 3 better than the Incredible Hulk? Chris?
No.
Joey?
Yes.
I also agree. So it moves into slot number 5. All right, so let's do
What was the last one on the list there?
Iron Man 2.
Well. Okay. Yeah, I would put Iron Man 3 all the way at the bottom.
Okay. I am 3, number 6. Currently. I'll update that as we go. Next movie on the list, Thor: The Dark World. Does anybody seriously have this above the first Thor?
No, not
Okay,
really.
so we'll start with We'll start with Iron Man 3 then. So that's actually number 5, not 6. So currently our number 5 is Iron Man 3. Is Thor: The Dark World better than Iron Man 3?
Yes.
Okay, Chris is a yes. Joey?
Let me think on this one a little bit. Just kind of going over everything we've seen, talked about. Yes.
All right, but majority vote. It is the new number 5. I would disagree. I would say it's above Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2, but I would have it below Iron Man 3. Mostly because the villains are worse collectively in Thor: The Dark World versus Iron Man 3. They don't have a Trevor type moment. You know what I mean? But that's for me. So,
But they do have naked Eric Selvig, so running around stone.
I didn't really like his character, but
Well, fine.
all right.
Damn you.
Be hateful of the elderly.
Yeah, he's my
Racist.
Yeah, just
Yes, elderly is.
All right.
race.
So Thor
Race.
2 is currently number 5. Iron Man 3 is now number 6. All right. So next up is the one we have to start from the top.
Yes, we do.
Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Is Captain America: The Winter Soldier better than the Avengers? Chris?
Yes, sir.
Joey?
Yeah.
It's a unanimous. It's the new number 1 because I also vote yes. So
It may possibly be the number 1 throughout the rest of the entire MCU.
It really
We
might.
will
'Cause
see.
it is. If you've never, okay, first off, if for some reason you have stumbled across this podcast, and you've never seen these movies, binge through the first 6 or 7 movies and fucking enjoy the hell out of Captain America: The Winter Soldier because it's damn near a perfect movie. It's hard to make them in this genre, but it's damn near perfect. All right, so Captain,
It is Marvel's The Dark Knight.
pretty much, yeah. I'd say it's on that level, no doubt.
Yeah.
The big 3 for me are Logan, Cap, 2, Winter Soldier, and Dark Knight. They're just 10 out of 10s for me.
Pretty fair.
Yeah.
All for various different reasons.
I like Days of Future Past better than Logan, but that's because I'm not huge into dramas.
Totally understandable, but I just really dig the Western
So
vibe.
much feels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I still love Logan, but
Yeah. All right, so moving on. Next on the list, again, we're going to start from the top on this one because it's a damn good movie, is Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, Volume 1. Is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 better than Captain America the Winter Soldier? Chris?
no.
No.
Joey's a no as well. Joey, wait for me to say name.
Sorry.
Yeah, Joey.
And I'm
I was like, you can't
so
beat it.
impatient.
I'm also a no. Is Guardians better than the Avengers? Chris?
Yes.
Joey?
Yes.
Oh, I was going to say no, but I was going to put it at number 3. I was going to put it above Iron Man
Okay.
1. But so by unanimous decision, or not unanimous, by majority decision, Guardians of the Galaxy is now number 2. So we have a new number 1 and a new number 2. Is number 2. So the next movie is that Avengers already?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Next up is Avengers Age of Ultron. We'll start it. We'll run down quick. Is Ultron better than Winter Soldier, Chris?
No.
Joey?
No.
Same here. How about Guardians? Chris?
No.
Joey?
No.
Same here. No as well. The OG Avengers. Chris?
No.
Joey?
No.
All right, now we're getting into the meat where I think it may fall somewhere.
Yeah.
The first Iron Man. Chris?
No.
Joey?
Fuck. First Iron Man, what bring to the table? Fudge. I'm gonna say yes.
Ooh.
Interesting.
That is an interesting decision. I'm gonna say no, purely for for story reasons. Visually, it's fucking stunning,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
but
I think it's mostly what sold
purely
me
for the story.
better.
So I assume it's gonna fall in the next slot. Is it better than Captain America: The First Avenger? Chris?
That's tough.
Yeah, this is where it starts to get tough.
That's really tough.
Oh, God.
Jeezums, that's real tough. I'll say yeah.
Okay,
Ooh,
Joey.
God.
By
Oh,
proxy,
yeah.
it kind of has to be because you said it is better than Iron Man, and Iron Man is above First Avenger.
I didn't want to put up.
Hey,
want
that's
Captain
the list
America
we've
there.
got, though.
I don't, but
You have to vote by the list we've got, not your own personal fucking feelings.
I know. According to the, I have to say yes. All right.
Same here. So it moves above Captain America: First Avenger, but below Iron Man. So let me before I get too in the weeds here, I got to make this list out halfway. So we might cut around this.
Okay.
Yes, Guardians. One.
So lost without you.
Wait, so does this become number 5? I think so.
I haven't been paying attention to the numbers of things.
Same.
It's above Captain America.
Yeah.
So then I think it's Cap
It's like
1.
because we have Winter Soldier.
And then, did we say Thor 2 is better than Thor?
I'm Groot.
I think we did.
Alright, so then it would be
Okay.
Dark World. Iron Man 3. I'll have to remember to be more up to date on this list. I'll probably have a Photoshop open so I can edit the text as we go for the next one. Because now we're really going to get into crazy numbers as we get into double digits.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna get.
And we got Iron Man 3. Then we got. Okay. Alright. So the current rundown is as follows before we get to Ant-Man.
I've got some filler for you there, by the way.
What were you doing?
I have a little baby Groot cup.
Oh.
I was just like playing with at the camera.
I certainly appreciate
That's why
that.
I was saying I am Groot.
I appreciate that. May full screen you there. I say so. The current rundown is Captain America: Winter Soldier at number 1. Number 2 is Guardians. Number 3 is Avengers 1. Number 4 is Iron Man. Number 5 is Age of Ultron. Number 6 is Cap 1. Number 7 is Thor: The Dark World. Number 8 is Iron Man 3. Number 9 is Thor. 10 is The Incredible Hulk. And number 11 is Iron Man 2.
This list is getting so far away from the list that I would write.
Right? It's
insane.
Hey.
You guys are stupid.
this is collaborative list making at work. It's fucking crazy and unprofessional bullshit.
This is America.
It's basically bottom shelf nerd people.
Tripping though.
Yes, pretty much. All right, so there's one slot that we have left to pick, and that is Ant-Man. We will start. Let's start at the top again, just for shits and giggles. Is Ant-Man better than Winter Soldier? Chris?
No.
Joey?
No.
Also no for me. Is it better than Guardians? Chris?
No.
Joey?
No.
Better than Avengers? Chris? Better than Avengers 1? This would put it in slot 3 of the MCU.
Dude.
It's
the longest no ever.
Joey?
No.
Is it better than the first Iron Man? And now let's go rapid fire here. Just I know your voices, so Chris, is it better than Iron Man?
Yes.
Joey?
No.
I also say no. It is basically Iron Man's story, but a little more like funny. But I would say no. Is it better than Age of Ultron?
Yes.
Joey?
No.
I agree with Chris.
Yay!
Because it is more
Whoa!
It's a more fun time at the movies.
Yes.
Ultron kind of takes it out of you.
Wow, I did not
Ultron
expect
does
this.
so much to just set up things in the future. They do way too much like expository stuff.
Yeah. Some great
Ant-Man is a singular story. They didn't even really try and bring it into the world of everything else. The only thing that they said was like,
they're too busy dropping
why don't we
ships
call
out
the
and stuff.
Avengers? Or I didn't want this technology ending up in the hands of a Stark anyway, type of thing. But everything else is literally just, hey, this is a one unique story. Let's just fill in this little hole. We don't have to make it about the big world.
So
I like
where
that.
does that put Ant-Man then?
At that puts, here's the rundown. Big list time here, people. So this is where the image is going to be going up as a note to myself. Here is our current through phase 2 bottom shelf nerds MCU ranking. Number 1, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Round of applause, everybody. We fucking nailed it. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 1. Number 3, Marvel's The Avengers. Number 4 is Iron Man. Number 5, some might say this is an unconventional pick, and that's Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Number 6 is Avengers: Age of Ultron. Number 7 is Captain America: The First Avenger.
It doesn't beat Cap.
Shut up. Number 8, I'm giving a rundown. Number 8 is Thor: The Dark World. Number 9 is Iron Man 3. Honestly, if you think Ant-Man's not better than Thor: The Dark World, you should just shove it. Number 9 is Iron Man 3. Number 10 is Thor. Number 11 is The Incredible Hulk. And rounding out the list at number 12 is Iron Man 2. So
Joey, you're mad about Captain America being
that's because
middle of the road.
That's because he thinks it's the top 5 Marvel movie. He still does.
I love Incredible Hulk, and it's second from the bottom.
Yeah.
How do you think I?
Because you have bad taste.
Hey,
You have horrible taste.
hey, shut your faces. Remember, none of these are bad movies.
They're not. They're really not.
Hell,
They're
my
compared
least
to each
favorite
other.
one is probably. I've on the rewatch of Dark World, I hate it less. But yeah, the bottom's not as good as the top, clearly. but none of them are bad movies. Let's keep that in mind.
Ugh,
Until we get to
live in a dark
Ragnarok, in which
time.
case I'll be coming down to Austin and punching Chris in the face.
Oh, I will defend him all my
Yay!
might.
We will ruin the MCU.
We will wreck it.
All right. Okay.
We are the chaotic evil.
All right.
Can you feel what I'm cooking? All right.
Can I feel what you're cooking?
Smell
Am
it.
I gonna burn
Can
myself?
you feel... Hey, I don't want copywritten. Just throwing it out there.
All right. So I think that wraps it up. You guys got any closing thoughts before we wrap up and do our little outro stuff?
We live in a tyranny right now.
Okay.
And,
Anyway,
this list needs to be adjusted.
shush. Are we doing? Do we want to do Endgame? Not Endgame. Marvel by itself, or wrap that into Phase 3?
I think Endgame is going to have.
Oh,
enough
Endgame's
to
by itself.
make its
Endgame
own.
will be
Endgame's by itself.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Does Captain Marvel? Do we roll that into the full Phase 3 review?
I don't know because I think it'll be so fresh that we're all either really, really going to love it or really, really going to hate it.
How about this?
Our
We decide after we all see it.
Okay. If
Okay.
we can put it onto.
Yeah, we'll
Okay,
decide after
that's
we all
fair.
see it. So that's a bit of a production note for the audience too. That's probably going to end up in all of Phase 3 just to keep the series short.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too many videos. It's a lot of work to do. 3 to 4 camera angles and audio all in a remote podcast. It's fun, but it's a lot of work. So I'd rather do it not as few videos as possible. But we'll see what happens. I'm not opposed to anything. You can find us at our Twitter threads that are above or below our videos here. You can, of course, find Chris over at twitch.tv/GammaCarustor. He does awesome art streams, and he made the artwork that you see here adorning this podcast. And, of course, you can see me and Joey over at twitch.tv/BottomShelfNerds playing the games, doing the stuff, and hopefully soon doing a 2-man version of a similar podcast where we talk about random shit remotely over the internet and basically insult each other for an hour. Be fun times.
It's gonna be fun.
You guys don't do that already?
We're going to soon. We've been working on it. But in terms
You
of
insult each other for way more than an hour usually.
it's in terms of actually making it a show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We'll actually record it.
Yeah,
instead
we'll
of-
actually we'll put it together.
It's gonna be like grumpy old men, but with the internet.
Yeah, and we're both in our 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that about does it here that does do it for our Phase 2 review. Tune in sometime around this time next month for our Phase 3. And, of course, hit that like and subscribe button and plus hit the bell so you stay up to date. Because we don't post a lot of videos. So if you hit the bell, you're never going to miss it because it'll always show up in your sub feed.
It's true.
Yep. You should do that right now.
Smash it.
Literally right now. Go fucking do it. I'm waiting.
I'm watching. I'm waiting.
All right, bye.
Looking at you.